allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Bruce, roll call, please.
Councilmember Barrett.
Present.
Councilmember, Mayor Pro Tem Bisbal.
Here.
Councilmember Ellis, absent. Councilmember Zell.
Here.
Mayor Christie.
Here.
Councilmember Cusick. And Councilmember Seaver.
And Doug Kusick called. His mother died yesterday, so I asked for a motion to be excused.
So moved.
Is there support? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And Tina's now here, so.
And Matt's on his way. He just called me.
The next item is the approval of the minutes of the August 20th regular meeting.
So moved.
Pages 4 to 7. If everything is acceptable, I need a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Also on pages 8 to 20 are various committees and commission minutes. I need a motion to accept in the public domain.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Public comment? Any public comment? Yeah, Tom, come on up.
Before I start, Tom Ellis, I'm on Rockmore. This is about the dog issue, reflecting the park committee's recommendation. The dog issue at the park.
We'll be talking, Tom, about the park committee. I mean, you're welcome to bring it up then too.
Well, I don't know, if since Doug's not here,
Okay,
and I was
So
sure
he's-
Joe was aware that he wasn't going to be here, so I just,
okay,
let me frame that. I'll say what I want to be this way.
sure.
Okay, I know I was not at the last council meeting, but I know at our park committee, before that meeting, we had recommended that there be no dogs that were unleashed at the park, like we do in the winter. And we had a couple issues with that, and the biggest issue that we brought up was the liability for the city. Tragically, a month ago, and I'm not extrapolating, but I'm just repeating what a newscaster said on TV when that poor kid got mauled in Detroit by a pit bull. I know we don't have pit bulls here. I know it's very remote that could happen. But what he said was the Michigan law states that you need to have your dog under control at all times. That is the Michigan law. If it's not, then the legal counsel can check that out. So that's why I would recommend that we not have unleashed dogs at the park at any time.
Thank you, Tom.
Okay.
Yeah. We did come up at the town hall last Saturday. We had a spirited discussion about it. We spent about 2 hours on 3 topics, and probably half of that time was talking about the dog park or the use of dogs at the park. And we were presented with a petition with about 60 names asking that we consider some kind of reasonable allowance so that during certain times, even restricted times and restricted locations, that dogs could be let to just roam. Again, your comment's very well taken, Tom, and we're sensitive to it. The law in Michigan has changed a lot. I mean, when I was much younger and in law school, the rule was every dog got 1 free bite. And so the first bite was free. You paid on the second bite. That has changed. The common law in Michigan has changed. There is no free lunch, there's no free bites, nothing's free. If a dog does something, it doesn't matter if he hasn't displayed any dangerous propensities before that, but then you're held responsible. And the city could be held responsible too. So your point's well taken, Tom. We're going to consider it. And again, this is a topic that's dear to a lot of people, and people said that really dogs are part of their family. It's like, so we're trying to be reasonable and make reasonable accommodations. Okay, any other public comment? If not at this time, I'd like to appoint, we have 4 committee members for the Harbor Committee. It's Dan Braciano, Michelle Ramsdale, Dan Ritter, and Don Schroeder. Council, it's on page 21 to 29, your package. Right now, our Harbor Committee, we didn't really have a full committee. And I would like to recognize the service of, we had Bruce Vollmer, who served us very dutifully over the last probably 10 years on the Harbor Committee. So I want to recognize his past service as well. But if the committee, if the appointments are in order, I'd like a motion to approve and add the 4 members to the Harbor Committee. Yes, Dr. Siegel? Oh, I'm sorry, he's not on my, did he submit an application? Okay, well, I'm corrected. So I'd like to amend that to include Dr. Dennis DeHunt as well, so that would be 5 new members. But there's,
We don't have one.
yeah, you're right, I don't see it. Well, let's add these 4 members, and then we will include Dennis at the next meeting, once he submits the volunteer application. So I need a motion to approve those 4 members.
So moved.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. The next item is a presentation from Manquin Vance Healthcare Consortium. Mark, oh, there you are, okay.
Well, you couldn't help but say that, he's represented at this point all the 5 Brooklyn cities as coalition. He's been treated by Blue Cross as a single employer with multiple locations. This is something clearly based on our side we could not do, along with probably all over the I first became, met Mark when I was at West Point Wood, but he's very represented, each of the communities during, 2005.
2005, yes. Well, thank you, members of council. I'm here really just to answer any questions you have regarding the Medicare drug plan that's proposed to be implemented at the city. I'm going to give you a quick overview of the highlights of the benefits of this program, but also you were sent handouts, so any questions you have in the handouts I'm also here to answer. But the highlights of the plan is we represent about 50 different cities and municipalities in Southeast Michigan. We've implemented a very similar type program in over 10 other communities. This plan is generating for the city a $40,000 a year savings, which is about 50% of what you're paying for today. This program is only a program that's going to be implemented for your Medicare eligible members, which there are 20 of them. So it's a small portion of your retiree population, but the savings per member is pretty significant at $40,000 a year. This also has a tremendous OPEB benefit. Again, per member, that $40,000 savings on an OPEB basis is much more significant from an OPEB savings standpoint because currently you're self-funded. Actuaries look at self-funded Medicare plans with a little bit more risk associated with it, and therefore the liability on a per member basis is significantly higher even for equal plans. So this has a twofold effect of reducing your annual cost by $40,000, having a significant OPEB savings over and above that $40,000. Secondarily, but just as importantly, this is a risk management play as well. You are self-funded with your Medicare population for the drugs. As you all know, as you see it on news every day, the cost of drugs are going up. The number of drugs in the pharma pipeline is increasing. Very good drugs, gene therapy drugs and other drugs, but it poses a significant risk to any of my clients. So we've been moving as many groups as possible to this platform because this is an insured program. So you are not going to be subject or liable for any of the top-end risk under this program because this is a Medicare drug program heavily subsidized by CMS, and that's where the savings is coming from. Okay. The other part of this equation is you would not be able to get this program if it would not work for the coalition that Mark referred to. Humana and other carriers in this market, they typically don't quote plans unless there's at least 100 members or more. You have 20 members, so standing on your own, you would not be able to get this rate nor access to this plan. So this coalition has many benefits, but this is just one other benefit, that by being part of a coalition of 5 cities, you're able to access a plan and plan rates that you wouldn't otherwise be able to access. This plan is also a plan that will offer the 20 Medicare retirees a plan with copays that are equal to or better. Currently, your retiree members have a 10-20 copay. This offers a little break on the generic drugs at $5, and then there's a 15-20 brand copay. So for those that have identified preferred brand drugs, they'll pay $15 instead of $20. So we've essentially matched the plan design. We've been able to essentially match a program with pharmacies that are equal to or better than the pharmacies they have available to them today, which is really a national pharmacy program, as well as you get the annual $40,000 year savings plus the OPEB savings. So those are the highlights of the program. This is right now, these rates are effective for 1/1. There's about a 90-day implementation timeline, so we have about 2 or 3 weeks. Everything's kind of keyed up right now to be implemented. So, but the window will be short very quickly to get the program in place. But it is going to be effective for 1/1 since CMS requires communications to begin, within 90 days of the program to be implemented.
So Mark, you're saying we have to do this at this meeting or call a special meeting? We can't wait till October?
We don't even need to vote on this stuff, this is an administrative change, if you will, just a policy. I mean, we can vote on it, but it's not required for implementation.
Well, Mark, have we ever done any changes to retiree in the last 8 years? I mean, I'm just wondering
We've done
why,
administrative changes, whether it's dental or carry, without taking changes, we administratively sign for like renewals, sometimes it's a savings. Again, sometimes there are, one of the things that Mark, as part of our coalition does, is they review the 2 or 3 different programs. One's RDS, Retiree Drug Savings Program, that's subsidized by the federal government. He annually reviews those to determine which is best for us to apply for. And so those have been implemented differently in the past. He also reviews, based on state law requirements, for us to take bids from other vendors and potentially implement them. And Rhonda and I would typically handle whether or not we're switching our dental care or things like that. This is not a takeaway from things, but how to get the clear benefit to the retirees, clear benefit to the city. So we have gone through with those programs in the past. We just signed we got a renewal recently, which is required that we do that. In the future, we want us to do that. I think it was a good suggestion to have Mark come this evening and explain both the program and the savings. And that we'll be having some joint, one is a communications going to go out from Mark to all the retirees that this affects, R20, everybody in the fund participating. There wasn't as much to say
so the farms are not included in this?
at this point there, but we've met the minimum criteria.
We have 100 lives.
100.
City Grosse Pointe Woods approved this at their council meeting about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
But Mark, isn't this somewhat of a takeaway because it requires generic coverage first?
It's exactly the same as what we
No.
have, with
It's
no
the same.
virus.
It's a very same program. The only differences between a Medicare drug program and the commercial plan you have today is there are some drugs under the CMS formulary. For instance, cough syrups and oral cream for gum disease, things that are over-the-counter drugs that CMS doesn't cover. But we're talking about less than 0.5% of your population that might have access to that, but they have access it over the counter. So that's the only difference and we've implemented just recently in Southfield and other large cities that we went through the vetting process. And we're very comfortable that there'll be no change from a generic standpoint, a brand standpoint. There's no disruption from that standpoint. It's not going to be a mandatory generic.
But it's a
program.
first step, or no? When I read the material, it suggested that the first step is generic. And then if it doesn't work, or it doesn't prove to be, patient tolerable, then you go into the.
Which is
formal-
similar to the program you have today.
Is it?
Today, yes.
How long is the contract for?
1 year.
And then it's,
So every year we have to renew it?
Every you can renew it, yes.
and why is it just for the Medicare population of the retirees?
Because this Medicare program, the reason there's savings here, it's a subsidized Medicare program. So it's only available to the Medicare population.
And their spouses, is that also
Correct.
included? Okay, and their spouses.
Correct.
And then,
If the spouse is Medicare eligible,
As long as they're
If they're
Medicare,
Medicare
that's the
eligible.
requirement.
okay, and you said the $40,000 up front right now that you're seeing as the savings, what is that from?
So you're moving to a fully insured Medicare drug program. It's $166 a month per member. You're currently, your drug spend over the last 3 years has been on average between $80,000 and $90,000. This premium is about a, $40,000 premium. So you're fixing in that premium and the savings, and you're also then you're reducing the exposure on the top end for the drug volatility. It's
the
very
big thing here is
unlikely.
the stop
you're-
loss. Currently, we fund this out of pocket. So if you get a crazy cancer drugs, it's $2 million a year. Technically, under our current insurance program, we don't have insurance that prevents that loss. This is an insured program. So we pay $166 a month, no matter what the cost of the program is. The reason it is this cost is the federal government, bless their hearts, is subsidizing it for Medicare. It's not that you're concerned about whether the benefits are reduced and it's just we're skinnying it down. It's a subsidized program by the feds because it's Medicare Advantage for prescription drugs. It's an HMO kind of thing for only prescription drugs. So I mean, we're reducing our liability on our exposure big time because you get one of these immunotherapy drugs.
Yeah, right now you've been fortunate. You don't have the blockbuster drug in there, but what's creeping into the drug spend everywhere is drugs you see like Humira, Enbrel. Those are $3,000 to $4,000 a month drugs. You get a couple of those in your drug spend, your $80,000 could double in 1 year. We've seen that in a couple of the other cities where the drug fluctuation could double in 1 year and go half in 1 year. So there's a lot more volatility, and we just see that to be increasing over the next 5 years. There are about 700 drugs in FDA approval right now that are gene therapy and high-cost drugs. So we're really making an concerted effort to get to every one of our cities to really have this type of program in place. At one time, it wasn't as weren't self-funded. We could get we had better pricing, but not anymore.
So our savings are based on 50% approximately of what we
Of
spend.
what you were spending on your average over the last 3
Roughly.
years.
Okay.
And you know that it'll never go down.
Yeah, it'll never go down, so.
So when's the drop dead date for us to make this decision?
It's September 3rd, end of this month.
September
Yeah,
30th?
about 2 weeks.
Okay. If it's administrative, why did the Woods have a council vote on it?
They vote on everything. Don't they? That's
Yeah,
their
the city of Grosse Pointe nor the park voted on this. Just full disclosure, the Woods did.
Okay.
Mark, our OPEB liability is about 10 million. What will be the effect? 5%?
Yeah, so this is about $40,000 savings on a retiree healthcare spend of about, I think, what, 300,000. So
But it's post 65 years of age, so the window is shorter in terms of the amortization of the net
So,
present.
yeah, so it won't be proportional necessarily to your retiree health care. The 40,000 out of 3 is over 10%. So I would say 5% would be conservative.
plus the other thing is, when the actuary does it and they assume the
Right.
general increase year over year of drugs, because we're not capped, that's where the big savings are coming up, the out years.
So we're penalized on future because they don't know how to predict the future cost of prescription drug prices.
Current in your current situation, yes.
So Mark, it's a one-year contract, right?
One-year contract. Yeah. You can revisit it maybe your next year. Because the new CMS rates will come out in May of next year, so we'll know what your 2021 rates will look like, and we could revisit it at that time.
Okay. And there's no penalty to opt out in the future if we decide something different?
It's not automatic. They make you sign. Yeah. They make you sign the renewal.
I mean, a notice provision, like
Yes.
90 days before the expiration,
It's usually
something like,
120 days.
so 4
for the
months
renewal.
before the expiration?
Yes.
With our intent not to, to renew.
Right.
Okay, well. Intend to review.
It's got to be from
Okay.
Yep.
Are there any other questions for Mark?
Rates are set by CMS, right?
CMS provides the funding to the insurance companies, and the insurance companies set the rates. So it's a combination of the rate is a combination of the funding level from CMS, which can change every year, as well as, in this case, the Humana pool of experience. So it's a combination of the two. But this is a national pool. So your experience itself will have zero impact on the rate. It's going to be the national pool of experience.
Mark, last week, the Wall Street on the first page talked about these $2 million drug therapies, I think. So what does that mean to us?
Well, what it means is Big Pharma is aggressively creating these biogenetic drugs, and they're trying to replace the pipeline of brand drugs that have all come off patent in the last 10 years. So they're losing money because those drugs come off patent. They're not making money on generics. So what they've done, and they've worked with the medical industry, is they're creating some very, very effective and good targeted drugs like gene therapy medications. What it means to you is, as it becomes more commonplace in the marketplace, you're exposed if you're self-funded to those drugs. So, nationally, we run a subsidy program nationally for very large groups that focus on subsidies for specialty medications because it's going to be such a problem. The specialty drug spend within my groups at one time represented maybe 10 to 15% of your overall drug spend. Now I have groups that 30 to 40% of their overall drug spend are on these select group of specialty medications. We see that hitting a 50% mark probably in the next 2 years. So it will impact the groups. Now, the drug that you probably are referring to in the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah, they
I think
talked, one was a novel
Novartis.
therapy, yes,
Was it
yes.
Novartis?
Mhm.
So Novartis on the East Coast created this one-time therapy for spina bifida. It was something that could be tested while the baby was in the womb, and not only tested, but the treatment could be applied while the baby was in the womb to essentially correct the problem. It's a one-time therapy, $2 million. So it's not going to apply to the retiree population, but that's the type of stuff that's happening with the advancements happening in the industry today. That you're really going to see that start hitting the drug spend for a lot of groups.
Well, the thrust of the article also was they weren't sure how Medicare how they would react to this.
In this case, Novartis, in that, I don't know if it's said in that article, but with the article I read, would allow the group or Medicare to essentially pay that off over a 2-year period, if that's any consolation. But you're right, insurance companies will have to make difficult decisions, CMS will have to make difficult decisions to determine whether they allow that on their formula, those drugs. Hep C medications can cost $600,000-$700,000 a year. Hemophiliac medicines can cost $800,000 a year. We have a couple groups in town that, have to, work with that arrangement today. So it's out there. It doesn't happen in small groups, but it can happen. And we're seeing more and more drugs that are commonly in the marketplace that will impact your drug spend eventually.
Would there be an increase to the retirees as far as their personal contribution here?
Not here because you don't have a percentage copay. You have just a straight copay plan. A lot of plans have gone to a co-insurance where the member is responsible for a percentage of the cost, but you don't have such a plan here.
Why don't we have that plan here?
What we call for
The only problem, Mark, is we're going to talk to our labor lawyer later today in closed session about this topic. And so I'm just trying to determine if there's a sense of urgency. If Medicare requires a communication schedule 90 days in advance, then we're bound by that.
So whatever action you take in closed session is not going to affect this initiative.
Yeah, whatever you decide on as a program there could supplement what we're doing here, because this is always, we do retiree health care engagements for City of Flint, Southfield, a lot of large cities, and this is always the first thing we do. So I know your attorney. This would have been the first thing we would talk about. If there's anything else that you want to do to enhance what you want to do with retiree health care, it can supplement what we're doing quite easily.
So what we need to do is sign a contract, or Mark needs to sign a contract, a one-year contract, term contract,
Right.
with an opt-out, a 4-month opt-out, essentially intent
Right.
not to renew. And that there's no penalty to leave in the future in case there was any
Right.
changes.
Right.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Do we need a resolution, or, I mean, at this point, Bruce, you're telling me we don't need a vote. I just wanted the council to
Sure.
hear the presentation, so we know, I mean, like I said, what we're gonna talk about. Yes, Mark?
Just want to add, other things that Mark will bring in the future. We talked about this at the finance committee, but, things that are other options that we can take a look at in the next couple of months. There is, a large pool in Ohio that has just been around since the Mark was instrumental in getting this through the state insurance commission's office. And again, we don't have numbers on that yet, but probably several months that we're running numbers or other numbers for coalition of those cities, and determine whether that's a factor. But we've been pooling in that day with over 20,000 dollars. And one of the key advantages, I know we got it because of this, is we bought our liability off this fully insured program. If we had one of those drugs, and we've had some cancer drugs and some other things, our arrangement with the other growth points is that's 50% pool that we pick up those costs. So this saves us money, it doesn't hurt the employee, transfer from existing carriers that we have, Navitus, mail order drugs where you get your 2 by 1 month, you get 2 months by 10 years, and for 1 month. So, and we save money and cap our liability.
The feds are subsidizing.
Yeah, and
That's the beauty.
Their tax dollars are
Right.
at work.
Tax dollars that work for us.
Yeah, while they're available, right? So the consortium Mark is referring to is significant because we talked about this program protecting you for your 20 Medicare members, but you're self-funded for all your active members as well and your pre-Medicare members. So you have a coalition of 5 cities, and as a group, you're spreading the risk out over those 5. But there's only about 400 to 500 members in your group. This consortium, I worked 3 years and working through the AG's office and the governor's office and finally through Department of Insurance, we were finally able to bring this Ohio consortium of 20,000 members, mostly public sector groups down in Ohio. This will allow you, if you were to join, to put the coalition of 400 or 500 employees into this 20,000 member coalition, further spreading your risk for other blockbuster drugs that might impact your pre-Medicare or active employees. So insurance as well as pooling all help smaller entities. And it allows you to leverage that size to buy better stop-loss insurance, Medicare plans. We could go back, say a year or 2 years from now, go back to the market with maybe 1,000 Medicare members if you join the Ohio consortium and maybe even get a better rate from the marketplace. So, you know, the consortium and the pooling really does work if it's set up the right way. And we worked, again, I vetted this out over 3 years. I have 50 public sector groups, so we're excited to bring this as an option to a lot of our groups in the near future.
Mark, I'm surprised the Michigan Municipal League doesn't, offer this as a benefit to the,
We will be, I know many of the members of the league. We wanted to get this off the ground first, show some success stories, and then go to the league. And once you take it to the league, it'll it'll advertise itself, right? So, but right now we want to get it, we're working to get a few groups loaded in, get some, good case studies, and then we'll eventually go to the lead.
I guess my only question was, why now? I mean, after, I've been in office 8 years, but it, better late than never.
Well, it's amazing that this has been, just below the border for years, and it never really never made its way up here. But it's because the Ohio local government didn't allow it to move beyond the borders. They had to get state legislation in Ohio to allow it to move into other adjoining states. So they actually moved in and then set up a plan in Tennessee last year, and then Michigan was approved this year.
Okay, well, thank you, Mark.
All right,
Thanks for
thank you.
coming.
One last question. Is there an escape clause if we don't see savings and we're not happy?
We
Well,
can
this-
opt out, what Mark was
Yeah, the
explaining,
escape
right?
clause is not renewing in 8 months. And now
It renews automatically, right?
it's an opt-in, yeah, right. Right.
4 months before the end of the calendar year,
So we're committed for 8 months,
or
right?
8 months. Okay, well, good. Mark, thank you for coming.
All right.
I learned a lot. Okay. Well, our next item is the variance request. I need a motion to go into public hearing to sit as a zoning board of appeals.
So moved.
Any support? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Mary Matusha had oral surgery today, right? So,
She can be here, Bob, the vote, the petitioner is here, on behalf of the petitioner.
okay.
And,
Well, I like the young petitioner there.
she's gonna speak on behalf, give it to my grandma.
Give her the mic. Well, I'd like, Bob, you were at the meeting. You wanna-
Yes, at the last meeting of the planning commission, which was held on August 27th, public hearing was held on the application of Dr. Rosley with respect to 707 Lakeshore, looking for a variance side yard for landscape edge fence. The petitioner had submitted a landscape plan, which I think all of you have in front of you, likely. And that was totally approved by the planning commission with the exception of the arborvitae hedge and some spruce trees bordering Lockmore. Because that requires a variance and that is in the setback. This lot is unique in that it has 2 front yards, according to the ordinance. When you're on a corner lot like that, the setback requirements for a front yard apply to a side yard also. Unique situation. But the committee went through it, and Carlisle Workman, our consultants, went through the entire thing in detail and basically found that the setback that they're proposing is still 16 feet left on the sidewalk, which pretty much ties in with the adjacent properties. Matter of fact, across the street on Lockmore, there's almost an identical setup. And it does provide security and privacy to the backyard of the new home, but it also does not interrupt the vision of any neighbors. No one is objected to this, and safety engineers have looked at it, and there's no obstruction to traffic or use of the sidewalk. And consequently, the
Slow down.
slow down my committees here. The planning commission unanimously approved based on the recommendations of Carlisle Workman and the information passed on the hearing. That approval is only on the basis of a recommendation to this panel for final approval.
Sir, is there anything you'd like to add, or
No, that was perfect. That's
Any questions?
any questions?
You have approved we have consent from Mr. Perillo. Where does he live?
he's 2 doors down on the not 10 Lockmore, not the one next to it, but so Joe actually owns 2 homes right there. adjacent to 707. And him and I actually worked together over the course of like 3 or 4 months to figure out where the perfect landing would be for the side yard landscaping that wouldn't obstruct even his view 3 doors down.
The next home on Lockmore's for sale, right?
That's Joe owns that home.
He's given, and he can,
He can do.
Yeah.
now your other neighbor on the side, on the Lake Shore side.
Across the street?
No, on Lake Shore going north.
Oh, yeah.
Have you talked to that neighbor?
Well, this doesn't affect.
I know, but have you, just in general,
We've talked in the
You don't
past,
know.
but nothing lately. We've had some conversations in the past, but we've had lemonade. We've
That's a good way to say it. Now, this was a couple, was it a year or two ago, there was a request for a lot split on this
Yes,
parcel,
indeed.
right? And you almost have 2 buildable lots.
we do, yeah.
sites,
Yeah.
almost.
We took an L though, and we walked away and built what's there now.
It's
So
just
Well, Doctor, I gotta
beautiful
tell you,
home.
as
Beautiful.
thank you.
someone who's gonna be your neighbor, I really think that what you've done is really, really nice
I
there.
appreciate it.
I'd like to
yeah.
move that we approve the variances requested.
Well, I'd like to ask anybody from the public if they'd like to come forward and add any input. This is our public hearing. Anybody want to say anything? This is a request for a dimensional variance, and so the standards are pretty high. It requires, number one, an evidentiary hearing, which we're doing now, so that the strict enforcement of the requirement would not be in a reasonable deprivation of your property rights. And the requested variance will not cause an adverse impact on surrounding properties. The condition and circumstances are unique to the subject property. We just heard that. The conditions and circumstances unique to the property were not created by yourself. They weren't self-created. I mean, that's what you ended up with. The requested variance will not confer special privileges that are denied to others similarly situated. 6, that the requested variance is the minimum variance necessary to do substantial justice to yourself, sir. And finally, the requested variance will not be contrary to the spirit of this ordinance. So you've heard no complaints. Your surrounding neighbors have not complained. We're familiar with the property because of the lot split in the past.
Yeah. And I think it was a smart move on your part to not allow the split. So the
Well,
home looks beautiful.
yeah.
It sits
It sure
nicely
does,
there.
yeah.
At this point, Matt, then would you like to make a motion?
Yeah, I would. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the variances requested. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, good luck, sir.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. It's a beautiful home.
I need a motion now to enter, back into our council meeting. Your support? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Before we get into reports by chairpersons, Mark, I'd like you to come forward. New plaque, token of our appreciation. I know it's your last meeting, but, you know, I have to say, Mark, all of us that we have for the board of North Point Grove and the city in 2012, I served this committee above and beyond the call of these leadership. Beginning of term more than 7 years ago, following an already successful career in public service. Whereas under my leadership, the village is becoming an active place. And now it's one of those few at reports by chairpersons. Brenda, tell us about finances.
Good evening, everyone. In your packet, you have your list of all your transfers made for the month of September. There's a long list this time. Half of it is the tax distributions, along with our bond payments that are due at the end of the month. Otherwise, everything is pretty normal. Do you have any questions regarding this list at all?
Any questions?
All right, moving on to the check register. For the checks issued since our last meeting, you'll notice there's smaller tax distributions amounts. Instead of making a wire and paying an additional fee, I just issue a check when there's smaller amounts. We have repair to the storm siren for payable to Grosse Pointe Woods, along with the fuel, Spencer Oil. There was a couple of invoices for stump grinding, and storm damage tree work, Arbor Pro. Everything else, there's bills from Hubble, Roth and Clark, Anderson Eckstein for engineering services. Is there any other invoices listed that you have any questions on?
Rhonda, for Spencer Oil, we've always used them. Have we ever put that up for bid or?
I'm not
asked-
sure if there's another vendor in the area at all that can give us the service when we need it.
I mean, I'm just thinking the last 10 years, and we've always had Spencer Oil, but are they the best for the city? And service levels, you're happy with the service levels? Okay. Are any questions about any of the checks? Oh, Mark?
Just discussing, we get, the consortium that we belong to on the healthcare costs for, gives what the pharmacy take a price and that from time to time, threaten to discusses it with me, again, savings on our transportation.
Okay. If there aren't, are there any questions? If not, I need a motion to approve this check register run. Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
And then also yesterday marked the last day to pay the summer property taxes without any interest or penalty. Last week and yesterday was very busy. We still have about 66 parcels that remain unpaid as of tonight. But I'm sure probably at least half of those will come in the mail probably tomorrow with a postmark of the 16th, which we will accept.
Okay.
So that is on schedule at that point.
Okay.
From then, we'll send out a letter as time allows to the residents that still have not paid, just in case they misplaced it, so that you can try and beat some of the additional interest.
Sure, sure. And after what date does it have to be redeemed at the county? If there,
Anything that remains delinquent as of March 1st
March
will go
1st.
to the county for collections.
okay. Okay, good. Bruce, Finance Committee?
Finance Committee met last week. We went through the presentation on the healthcare changes that we talked about here tonight. We also talked about where we think we're gonna be in terms of membership. We don't know, because we've got some big changes, as you know, Mr. Mayor. So, we do that. But in an effort to bring some good light to what we've been going through, we asked the Finance Committee asked the city to go ahead and put together a report. I think you all have one that shows the amount of money that we have spent on roads in Grosse Pointe Shores since 2011, the last 8 years. Now, the total amount, this is $3.4 million. That includes the federal grant for Vernier, for Lakeshore north of Vernier. It does not include the money that the federal government paid for Lakeshore south of Vernier, because we didn't pay a dime for that. That was all under the stimulus under the Obama administration. But our out-of-pocket costs that we've funded, self-funded, are almost $1.4 million in the last 8 years with no tax increase. That money has come from the major and local street funds. We were able to find a way to transfer money from major street fund, which is money we receive from Lansing, believe it or not. Lansing does send us money every now and then. And take those funds for the major roads, which did not need work, and move that into our local roads, which would be most of the side streets in this area. This year's project total is over $200,000. And that does not include the amount that DTE paid for Colonial Road, which is another $250,000 probably. So we've, totally spent almost $3.5 million in this community over 8 years in roads with no bonds, no tax increases, or any of that. So I think kudos to all of us for being able to do that. And I think our roads are pretty much in the best shape they've been in the last 10 years. And we have a plan at this point to continue to improve those. So it's a good note. It's a good thing that we've all done. So congratulations to all of us. That's all I have.
Good work, Bruce. I know we did Lockmore back in 2012, 2013, Sunnydale, those two, and I think we had dedicated a small village just for those two.
You're right.
And then every year, I know the Finance Committee is very, very good about providing for the future. We typically allocate $250,000 for road improvements, and rather than replacing the entire road, that's been ingenious in using a pinning concept where you piece out the bad pieces and you pin it in so that there's some movement. And I think that's what happened on my street, Woodland Shore. They did a great job with the apron. It was a chronically, it's a high traffic area, and it was in bad shape, and it looks wonderful.
That's why Brett is now a CPA.
Yeah.
He cut, pastes, and attaches.
Yeah, see, and Duval, you did Duval that way. You pinned it in, you took the bad sections of concrete and you pinned into so that's ingenious, Brett. So my hat's off to you. Okay. Ingenious. Well, thanks, Bruce. Public safety? Chief?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll be brief tonight. I wanted to report that on August 31st, our officers responded to a mutual aid request from Grosse Pointe Farms on a serious motor vehicle accident on Maras. Our paramedics assisted with medical care of the victims, CPR, and fire suppression because one of the vehicles caught on fire. I highlight this event to state that the mutual aid system that we utilize in Grosse Pointe Shores and throughout the Grosse Pointes, is second to none. When we had the vehicles that drove into the lake, we had Grosse Pointe Farms and Grosse Pointe Woods respond without even being called. This backup is critical to our community, being that we are the smallest of the 5 Grosse Pointes. Yesterday I received the initial report on our fire engine that is currently at Apollo Fire Repair. The pump impeller is damaged, possibly the interior of the pump as well, and the bolts holding the pump casing had rusted clean off, which we lost our pressure. I'm still waiting for a further estimate from Apollo Repair. And finally, for me tonight, on your desk in front of you, I placed the investigative summary that I did for the Ford House to reclassify their long-standing tavern license to a Class C. I can provide summary when this is called to answer any questions for you. I know that their counsel, Mr. Rentrop, is here as well. If you have any questions. If you have any questions at the moment, I'd be happy to answer them for you in regards to this. It's on my letterhead. This is a required investigation that's conducted by the local agency to make recommendations to the governing body in regards to approval of licensure.
So it's from Lansing, from the LCC, the Liquor Control Commission?
This is my recommendation to them and forwarding it to your approval.
Okay. Okay, good.
So basically, they're opening this full-time restaurant, and they'd like this license, right?
We're moving from a beer and wine on the premises to a Class C, which is beer, wine, and spirits on the premises consumption.
And on Sundays, correct?
Correct.
Any time frame, like till midnight, 2 a.m., or just?
Well, they
is it
would follow all their Class C.
Right. I've had a chance to go out to the job site and see what they're building there. It's really exciting. It's going to look great. It's going to be a beautiful restaurant. I move we approve the request.
It's not up yet.
It's not up yet.
It's coming under new business, I'm sorry.
Business.
Oh, okay. I thought he was presenting it for approval.
Petition.
Thanks, Bruce.
Finally, I wanted to say that for the past 7.5 years, I've had the privilege of working alongside Mark Longwood. In my 41 years in law enforcement, I've worked with 5 different city managers. Mark ranks among the very best. I can tell you that everyone who works for Mark raises their game. And public safety, public works, parks and recreation, and finance often receive accolades. But you should know that Mark is at the very core of that service, and I wish him all the best.
Thank you, Chief. Brett, Public Works?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, and residents. I'll try to be brief this evening as well. Your Public Works Department's had a lot of things going on since our last meeting. You may have noticed some construction on Roslyn and Hawthorne. Hutch Paving started paving these roads this morning, and after that work is complete, they're scheduled to begin a hot patch on Oxford Road, and then take care of some warranty work on Belle Meade. My report tells me so far the construction has been running smoothly. However, at 3:45 this afternoon, I got a call and was notified that Cadillac asphalt plant went down. I guess my accolades on paving is going down as well. Right now, we're expected to resume paving on Roslyn this Thursday. It's my understanding Hawthorne is done. We might have a little bit of wedging to go on there, but Roslyn is going to be pretty much halfway paved until Thursday. We put out a Nexo alert, and we'll be notifying the residents tomorrow morning with a quick letter, hand delivered, letting them know exactly what's going on. Well, we have one seasonal employee left, which is typical for this time of year, and unfortunately, as always, this time of year the grass keeps growing. But so far, we've been able to keep everybody busy and keep our grass looking quite well. Kevin Hartman, our new gardener, is doing a great job in the gardening department. So far, he's been able to get all the annual flowers removed, and he's currently cutting back the perennials. Once that is done, he has he has thousands of tulip bulbs that need to be planted to get ready for spring. And I must say, Bob Heckman, who worked at the park, retired on September 12th. Bob was with us for 24 years. It's hard to believe, and he was an exemplary employee, and he's going to be missed over there. Bob always made himself available to take care of the things in the park, and he didn't do just the park. He took care of the pool, the wading pool, the splash pad, the marina. Bob was a busy guy, and we're going to miss him. But Fred Lees has taken Bob's place. I think he's going to do a great job. So far, he's been working out quite well. He's had a year working shoulder to shoulder with Bob, so he's not surprised on anything that is happening over there. He's learned a lot of tasks, and he knows the responsibilities, and I would expect to see nothing less than a seamless transition. Speaking of transition, he's already had the opportunity to shut down the pool, the wading pools, the splash pad for the winter season. He hasn't winterized them yet. Certainly soon he'll be winterizing all 3. And then he'll be moving on to getting things ready for the Boo Fest. Speaking of the Boo Fest, we are really grateful for Helen By, Allison, and all the volunteers who help work on this event. I believe this year, and it may be talked about a little bit later, but I think the Boo Fest is a week earlier than the past. This makes it a little more difficult for our timing as far as the DPW goes, because typically we're scheduled day to day, and we pretty much stay to that. So we may have a little difficult time getting our hands on supplies. I can say that the Boo Fest is a big deal for us in the DPW, and you're in good hands, and I'm sure it's going to come off well as it normally does. Also, I think you may hear me report next month we're going to have some winterization starting up on our irrigations quite soon. It was spoken about a little earlier. Our asset management plan is well underway. We've had our roads PACER rating. This is a rating on the condition of our roads throughout our community. Those results are done and are in draft form. And this is one of the things that give us the opportunity to take the Grosse Pointe Shores major road funding and turn it into local funding. So those things are moving along very well, and we hope to have that done quite soon. And really, that is all I have for this evening. If anyone has any questions, I can answer them at this time.
I,
Yes, ma'am.
oh, sorry, I have two questions for you. Number one, in looking at the splash pad, as you took the water out, I know that we made those repairs last year to like those standing water and some of the mold and smell. How did that repair fare over the season?
I think it stayed, but I don't know if this is gonna be a thing where we want to paint on an annual basis. I did do a quick survey and other splash pads around the area, and most of them are not painted. And maybe that's the reason why, I'm not so sure. If they have a problem with potting, they can just take a grinder and grind it and smooth it down. Fortunately or unfortunately, ours is painted, and it might require a little bit more painting maintenance.
But the repairs that we did last year seem to hold up.
I believe so. It's not 100% perfect. I have had some conversation regarding some puddling water, and I don't know if we haven't made a decision on what we're going to do with it.
And also, can you give me any idea of the schedule to go out and look at the storm drains? Or whatever those things
Oh,
are.
you're talking catch basins?
Yes.
Yes, they have already been looked at. I don't know if they're marked yet. I tried calling our contractor today because I knew that question would come up, and I did not put it in my report. I did not get an answer, but normally I should be seeing this guy in the next week or two.
Okay,
All
perfect.
right.
Thank you.
Yes.
Brett,
And
we-
also, let me finish by saying, I've had the opportunity to work with Mark for 7 years or so, and, you know, I have known him for many, many years. I remember him as a city manager in St. Clair Shores, doing business together, trying to make these communities work together, because I think you realize our communities are forced to work together. And Mark was always a top dog in bringing people together and just making communities work together. Even with personality issues, Mark was always the guy that was able to bring communities together. And I must say, it was a pleasure for him, or for me, to work with him. He was very instrumental in letting the department heads do their job, along with the support of council. I'd just like to publicly thank him for everything he's done for this community and everything he's done for Brett Smith on those issues as well. So with that, thank you, and I'm sorry to get to that.
Oh, Brett, the only thing, we had a town hall Saturday, and a couple residents asked about the porch when they were leaving the building. It seems to be worse now than it was at the beginning of the summer. Is that because
is.
of the weather?
Yes, normally we repair that porch every year. However, we did not this year. Blackie Concrete is the gentleman that normally does that. He has been working in the community. I saw him over at Rob Squire's house the other day and grabbed him by the ear and brung him over. I said, hey, I want you to look at this and tell me what you need to do to fix it. And again, I made a call out to him today and was not able to get in touch with him, but that's something we're on. I'm thinking what we'll do is a quickie fix this year, because the winter always tears it up, and then maybe go ahead and do like we normally do instead.
I know there was a talk of an awning at one time, and then,
Yeah.
I don't know, that's not slate, right? Is
No,
that
that's stamped concrete, but it's sealed, but just like anything else, this ground moves so much, and every freeze-thaw cycle is not good for concrete.
Okay,
That we see as soon as we walk on.
okay, but you're looking into it.
We are,
Okay.
yes. There's been some comments, maybe some exposed ag where the aggregate where the seams are. I haven't run that by Blackie yet, but we're definitely looking into it.
Okay, good,
Brett,
thanks.
is it possible to go over that surface with slate?
I don't know. That's something to look into. Generally speaking, when you get moisture in between the concrete and the slate, it'll pop right off. Years ago, there was even talk about redoing steps and heating them just to keep the freeze thaw out of it.
Right.
But it's always been a maintenance item. Before these steps were here, 30 years ago, it used to be Rick Pavers, and we were spending thousands of dollars a year in paving those steps. And then once we went to the stamped concrete, they got a lot better, but they are certainly starting to show their age. Yep.
Okay, thanks, Brett, thank you. The park committee, Allison, do you wanna come up and give us an update? I know Joe can't make it and Doug's not here, so.
Good evening, everyone, mayor, council, residents. I wanted to say that the ceilings in both the men's and women's bathhouses have been completed, and it looks great. I encourage everyone to come and see those improvements. The Doggy Days was well attended at the park. We had 41 dogs come and take a dip in the pool with friends. The tennis tournament has been rescheduled. We're thinking about doing it on September 29th at 1 p.m. Effective Monday, September 16th, the Ranger schedule just went to a 1 day and 1 afternoon Ranger with no overnight shift. There will be one Ranger operating the new gatehouse from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. and, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So there's one shift from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. and the other shift is from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. The car show went very well. We had 88 cars and over 200 visitors. Full Circle sold out most of their food and drink items. I was working there as well as passing out cider and donuts. Rhonda did an excellent job organizing the event. We have I have an amazing colleague in Rhonda, and I'm taking note from some of her event planning because she not only helped and assisted with the doggy days and put together beautiful baskets, but she also did take homes for all of the car owners. We did prizes for all the car owners, trophies for the winners. Rhonda, you did an excellent job. On another positive note, Dr. Alexander Nakiff of Grosse Pointe Park donated a Dolphin C5, which is comparable to our vacuum that we use here at the pool in the Shores Park. He donated that free of charge to us. He called 2 weeks ago to all of the points, and our pool is most comparable to his old pool, and it was a generous donation, so we appreciate that from Dr. Nakiff. I have given the council a proposed and tentative program of events and camps for the 2019-2020 season at the park. The program includes events like the village lighting, the Easter egg hunt, the dog show, doggy days, and the mayor's tennis and chess tournament, just to name a few of those events. And then there's also new program events such as Glow Yoga, which has really taken off in the Grosse Pointes, and Family Dodgeball. With the large interest from Shores parents, I've partnered with Jolly at Snapology in Troy and created 10 camps for ages 4 to 14 here at the park. Children are meant to learn through play. When children are actively engaged in hands-on, interactive learning activities, their creativity flourishes and they show a greater interest in school. Snapology helps children grow up with a thirst for knowledge. Snapology engages children ages 4 to 14 using Legos, Connects, and technology. While the kids are having fun, we sneak in educational concepts. In most cases, the kids don't even realize how much they are learning. 85% of those proceeds will go to Snapology, who facilitates all of the counselors and materials for the camp, and 15% of the revenue would go to Oshus Park. The camps will take place in the Oshus Park Pavilion and will use the park's new Wi-Fi. Are there any questions on that program or any proposed events?
These are exciting new developments for next summer.
This looks great, Allison.
Oh, thank you.
Are there any questions of Allison, or? The one thing someone had apparently borrowed the starter for the swim meets last year and didn't return it. Did we?
Oh, the starter?
Like $1,400 or
yes.
something?
Well, the starter, we got a new starter that was donated with money from the Improvement Foundation.
Oh, was it?
For this year. And the starter is actually at the swim chair's home.
Good.
Safely put.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Allison. Very good report. Harbor Committee, John?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, and fellow residents. As you know, we are a few days away from the very first day of fall, and soon our boats in our harbor will be leaving for winter storage. With that being said, once winter arrives, we'll begin the evaluation of the harbor, especially the pilings, decking of the docks, condition of finger piers, and, of course, seawalls. Then Harbor Master Krolchek to get a count on all the requirements for the repairs and present the bid for a bid from K&D Marine to begin that work. It was a great season, albeit short, but our harbor was almost 100% occupied. And again, as you know, with our floating dock system, we are the envy of all the other harbors in the area. Also, the Army Corps of Engineers is expecting the water level to be even higher next year. So that will put our harbor in even a greater demand. So that, I would expect us to have a 100% occupancy rate and a strong wait list for the harbor there. It'll be imperative that the Harbor Master and Harbor Committee pay close attention to boat size, boat registrations, and insurance to make sure all are in compliance. Fees will also be charged in accordance to resident, combination resident / non-resident, and 100% non-resident renter. So there'll be 3 different grades of fees. On September 3rd, the Harbor Committee held its 3rd quarter meeting. Our highlights included: number 1, we set a schedule for public quarterly meetings to be held going forward. Number 2, we agreed to granting a full credit for kayak storage renters against next year's fees, since these people were unable to launch their kayaks safely this year due to the excessively high water and sandbag configuration. Point 3, with reference to this difficulty in launching, estimates will be obtained for a safer launch system for the kayaks to enter the water. Point 4, in respect to renter well rates, fees will be established and recommended to Council at the November meeting for, as I quoted earlier, non-resident vessels and vessels that are co-owned by resident and non-resident. Point 5, after doing some research, I went back into the combination park and harbor meeting minutes of September 19th, 2017. At that meeting, Councilman Barrett proposed, and I quote, "a well rate increase of 3% a year over the next 5 years annually," unquote. The motion by Cipriano and seconded by Mellos was unanimously approved. So what that means, our rates are in check from 2018 through 2022 for the residents only. Point 6, finally, we welcome 5 new members to the Harbor Committee, which was stated earlier, and I will repeat their names: Mr. Dan Braciano, Mr. Dan Ritter, Dr. Dennis DeHunt, Dr. Michelle Ramsdell, and Dr. Don Schroeder. I believe Dennis did fill out the form. I must have been misplaced because I made sure everybody had all their forms that day. So I'll make sure he gets it, or I'll text him tonight. Lastly, for the past 2 years, since the mayor appointed me as Harbor Committee Chairman, I have worked diligently and personally observed the harbor on a bi-monthly schedule, sending email reports to various people, including Harbor Master Krolchek, City Manager Wollenweber, and Councilman Seeley. With that being said, I will take a mea culpa in respect to Harbor Committee minutes. Upon my appointment as chair, I was never informed that I was required to have public meetings, take minutes, or to submit those minutes to the City Council for approval by anyone, as was so pointed out at the last council meeting. If I had been informed or instructed to, I would have complied to the best of my ability. I am a person of attention to detail, and once I know what's going on, it will be carried through. That being said, moving forward, our next quarterly meeting is December 3rd, 2019. Our meetings will be held in accordance with city requirements, and we will observe Robert's Rules of Order. Finally, I would like to suggest that a simple protocol manual be put forward for all future committee chairmen and committee members so that they are aware of things like the Public Meetings Act and other procedural formalities that should be observed to prevent any future confusion, as I and my committee experienced. I would be happy to spearhead such an undertaking if it is the desire of the mayor and council that I do so. Respectfully and thankfully, have a great evening. Any questions?
John, I just have a couple questions. With the addition of the 5 new harbor committee members, obviously I know Don Graciano's name and his reputation from his work at the yacht club. Is this a pretty good representation, do you feel, of the boating community, or both Park and Harbor members. I mean, are these 5 primarily Harbor?
They're all voters.
They're all voters. They're all,
So,
all
okay.
voters.
Okay. Good, that's exciting.
No, it's a good addition. John, Mark and I attended the mayor-manager's meeting last week, and the chief hydrologist for the Army Corps of Engineers gave us a sobering assessment of our lakes. And they had charts going back, what was it, 1924 to the present. So the low point, the most recent low point was 2013. Lake St. Clair is almost 5 feet higher than that low point in 2013. And then they told us that they're expecting a 5 to 6 inch increase in the water table for next year. Lake Michigan and Lake Huron were almost up 7 feet during that same time frame, almost a foot a year. So it's like,
We'll be breached again in the spring, I'm pretty sure.
okay. Well, and I think Dan, one of the committee members now, it was his idea to put floating docks in, I believe. So he had served before, I think, on the committee some years ago.
Yeah, all 5 of these people were excited when I called them up and said, "Do you wish to?" They said, "Yeah, tell me when and where, and let's get things moving."
Oh, thank you, John. Okay, well,
John,
thank you.
as liaison to your committee, I gotta tell you, I really admire how quickly you responded to the comments from last council's meeting and expanding the size of the committee and setting annual meetings, doing all the things that you're doing. I just wanted to compliment you on your diligence.
No need to do that, but thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, John.
Okay.
Infrastructure?
Nothing new. I guess I would have to ask the city attorney if there's any action between farms and shores back to Wayne County.
Relative to the seawall?
That's correct.
Yeah. We've had discussions back and forth. I was going to cover this during my report. Cover it here. We've had discussions back and forth between ourselves and Grosse Pointe Farms and their city attorney and their city manager. And the long and short of it is last month I reported to you that we were going to send out a Freedom of Information Act request to Wayne County for the seawall maintenance agreement that was apparently executed in 1928 that they disclosed to us during a meeting in June existed and promised to give it to us within a week or so. And now it's 2 or 3 months past, so we still don't have it. So we sent out that Freedom of Information Act request. We got the usual 10 business day extension as of right letter from them. The actual response is due tomorrow, the 18th. Presumably they're going to give us some documents and not, stonewalling. So the request is fairly straightforward. And, we should be able, assuming we get the documents that we want, we should be able to discern who's actually got responsibility for the seawall maintenance, Wayne County Construction. We know that. And then we need to move forward. We need to move forward on a number of fronts. One is who's going to maintain it going forward. Another item that I was going to cover during my regular report is what kind of signage do we want out there in the meanwhile. Last month, and it's been bandied about that a number of residents are justifiably upset that there's yellow tape on lots that front Lakeshore Road and or in the eastern area near the seawall, and we agree with that. So we've proposed, we're working with the chief of police and Brett Smith relative to some language that would be on the signs. The question is, how many signs, where are they put on existing signs going forward? We had some discussion, if you remember, last month about no loitering or keep out or dog on the loose, all that sort of stuff. But long story short is we don't want to take on, as a city, we don't want to take on supervisory responsibility for the seawall area on the one hand, but we believe, as a city attorney, that we have an obligation, the city's got some obligation to at least warn and say, dangerous area, avoid access. I mean, that's kind of where we're leaning in terms of the language that you put on the signs. And then again, the question is, where do you put it on existing signs? Do you put in some more? Do you put the signs in areas where there are known problems, or do you just put them on centers, if you will, stretch between city and farms?
I just think the signs that are already there that say danger, they should be replaced with whatever you guys come up with.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I counted them to know that, you know, how many.
There's at least 30 there. I once drove and I was counting them, and it seemed to be about 30.
Well, I'd like to keep the corners. Because I'm getting nothing back from it. An elected official in this meeting doesn't say.
Well, as I pointed out last month, it appears Wayne County is playing hostage on this. That's why we've got this under the Freedom of Information Act request, which they're obligated to respond to under law. We should be in a better position, hopefully we'll be in a better position to advise you on law.
If we get the high water levels of projection and some high winds along with it, I project that we're gonna lose one of the seascapes. That's my vision. And I'm defending the yellow tape. It's protect our employees that cut the grass. If it's county grass, we cut it. If we don't, we're gonna look like the freeways.
Well, that's a city determination, and I don't necessarily disagree with you. That was my recommendation in the first place, the tape building, in particularly dangerous spots. So, you know, I kind of stand behind that, but there's been a number of complaints, and you have to decide how to deal with them as a city council. You know, do you please everybody, or do you warn everybody? And I think kind of somewhere in between.
I just think maybe the signage that's already there, improve that signage and maybe a little bit maybe.
Some of the signs are completely worn.
Yeah, there's a couple you can't
There's a
hardly
couple you
read.
can't even read them.
Well, the wind and the snow and ice.
It's just a bad omen. I mean, at the meeting you were at, Brian, with Bob and Mark, 6 people were there from Wayne County and 3 were lawyers, wasn't it?
4 lawyers.
4 lawyers, you know, that's 1 engineer and 4 lawyers. That's a recipe. Okay,
That's not.
thanks. Grosse Pointe Improvement Foundation, thanks, Brett.
We had a meeting last week, the foundation, on Monday evening. We talked about various things. First and foremost was a reward from the DT Grant Company for a $2,500 tree grant for this fall's tree planting program. So we'll be applying to that. It's a matching grant. Our membership is up. It continues to rise, which is a great thing for the foundation. We have 2 trustees in the wings also wanting to join our forces. The projects committee, our tot lot is scheduled to start next week. Long and well overdue, but it should be on track finally, and hopefully we get it done here quickly so that the ground's finally dried out.
It's gonna be a floating tot lot.
Yeah, hopefully not. Little inner tubes everywhere. Next on our target is the pickleball court. We have a phone call into the Courtsmith, who did the yacht club's pickleball court. Gonna get them up there and get a representative, see what they have to say, get some ideas and that type of thing from the Courtsmith. Falls also are 2 big fundraisers, or at least 1 big fundraiser. The Celebrate, Decorate, and Entertain, headed by Heidi Neuenschwander, is October the 10th here at the Country Club of Detroit. And as I said, that is a major fundraiser for the foundation, so hopefully we can get some of you to join us there. And the Halloween Boo Festival has been bumped up, Brett's right, to the 16th of October. And we'll be looking for some volunteers to help decorate on the 15th, and we'll be ready to get going on that. That's a big evening. I think Helen Byes is going to talk some more about the Boo Fest. And that's all I have for the foundation at this point in time. Any
Good
questions for
report,
them?
Brett. Any questions for Brett?
Thank you.
Thank you, Brett. Thank you, Brett. Legal report, Brian?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Since the date of the last city council meeting held on August 20th, 2019, the city attorney is engaged in following activities on behalf of the city. Under general municipal matters, first of all, we received and reviewed a Freedom of Information Act request by a law firm called Perkins Coie for rejected voter ballot records. We prepared a response to that request, and that request is going out directly to the city tomorrow. Response to that tomorrow. We consulted with the city and with council for Grosse Pointe Woods regarding North Shores and Grosse Pointe Woods City Managers Agreement on the procedures for posting of interim bonds under the dispatch and lockup agreement that we looked at previously. And I understand from Chief Schulte, there are a few more tweaks that are going to be made to that agreement between the Shores and Woods, and then it's going to be put up for city council review at the October city council meeting. We consulted with the city regarding several city charter and city ordinances and Open Meetings Act issues. We also reviewed and consulted with the city regarding the retiree prescription drug plan materials that were presented tonight by Mark Manklin. And we analyzed some city ordinances and charter provisions regarding the council's authority to approve the proposal or other city manager. That's now fait accompli. We also reviewed and consulted with the city regarding another Freedom of Information Act request that was sent in for copies of city council candidate petitions for the upcoming election. That was granted, and that material will be going out probably. We reviewed the Ford House liquor license request to reclassify their license from beer and wine to a full Class C license. That'll be on the manager's report, and I believe their council, House's council, is here in that connection. We also reviewed and consulted with the city regarding the dimensional variance petition that was filed with respect to 707 Lake Shore Road and under employment matters, we consulted with the city and then researched and prepared a closed session legal opinion to the city council that we'll be discussing during the closed session tonight. On the D-Plan's property development matter, we conducted at city request a review of recent pleadings filed in the deed restriction case with the Weavers Group. We consulted with the city regarding the pleadings, also with the particular city resident. We reviewed the city engineer and developers and engineers correspondence and documents regarding the developer's request for a pre-construction meeting, and I believe that meeting was held last Wednesday of last week. Everything is hearing about it. We also received today and just started to review the form of a contractor performance bond and a labor and materials bond that were submitted by a concrete contractor in connection with that project. It's a matter of who are the correct parties on the bond, and so the form of the bond satisfactory to the city, so we put that over there. Finally, and I guess I've already really covered this with you, on the Wayne County seawall matter, we, as I said, sent out that FOIA request. Wayne County's response is due tomorrow. We also fielded a call from a seawall construction contractor who is interested in the status of the matter, translated interested in constructing the seawall for the city. And we just basically said this is the status of things, what's on hold until we know.
Any questions for Brian? All right, Brian, good report, good comprehensive report. Mark, your report?
The next 4 court dates will be moved to Western Farms, Buckridge, it's getting some back surgery. This is a good thing for us to test out cross operations of not having work heaters and parking of our lots. That really good test of that. We have an upcoming meeting with the stakeholder administrator's office with jurisdiction probably that would be handled sometime in a couple of weeks Brian mentioned the sign issue. We did get a report, and I just saw it. We got it Monday. From our risk management consultant, MMRMA, and I'll forward that to council. Ryan has already answered most of the questions involved, and we'll be proceeding, I think, with the sign development. Next week, Wednesday and Thursday, I will be in town with you at my budget
didn't file for $18,000, so I gotta dig out the form, bother Rhonda to help me make sure we have all the material that we can do that. And I suppose it's about time I did some little pushing myself, but think about that. So we will be taking care of that. You know, next year we'll get a 20,000 total coalition, different coalitions, all of those funds. Four of us, not working in the city, are providing those monies to the town, the direct senior citizens. The mayor mentioned the mayor management meeting, attended one of the most recent things, and we'll probably cover some of it, but I will just mention our agreement, the agreement of all 5 ghost funds and the one with the Warm Oil for a couple of years expires at the end of December, and the FCC in this infinite wisdom decided that any PEG monies that the cable companies provide, starting at the end of September, on a specific day, can be deducted from their franchise. So whether or not it doesn't make sense, in my opinion, for us to continue getting in with the Warm Memorial. Maybe somebody else is interested in doing local programming, but through the conference of Eastern Memorial, we will be considering to fight that particular decision. And we may have, because we have the additional channel, the only thing the FCC hasn't decided is how much is placing the value on that channel capacity. So I think the way the cable companies figure it, we may owe them money come next February, the first quarter, things come out, but then we'll get more information on this. Like Alexa, who participated in the public joint program for protest. And they've been in place for a number of years, like I was on Southfield, Livonia, and other communities, because besides that, we're not in the push yet as much as some of our neighbors need with the small cell field things that, again, our friends with the state legislature, through the Public Service Commission, have allowed the placement of cell towers right in the public rights of way without, with very little compensation for that. But FCC decision was certainly a troubling one to affect our income. The decision with the War Memorial, I think we had talked to about potentially using those PEG money, since we broadcast these meetings the next day and several other times, to replace some of the equipment that we and next month is when we will have a back under the courthouse. We agreed to at least call you that they will find on the phone for the gatehouse part. Will also be the council will also be honoring the Benson Ford family. There's a plaque out here in the hallway for them. Benson Ford did serve on the village council for a short period of time. And finally, since it's my last couple of years, I want to thank Council and staff and the others that we work with. It's been a really good team that we've had, and the ability to succeed on things is based on the quality of people that the city has hired in the past. Years, and I've had a good time enjoying all of our employees and working with them, and they provide real good service within the bounds of the council as well as allowed us to operate. That's all I have.
Oh, thank you, Mark. Are there any other questions? Okay. Next item, we don't have any old business. Next item is the addition of the Class C liquor license at the Etzel and Eleanor Ford House. Thank you for coming.
Good evening, thank you for having me. My name is Hans Rintrop. I'm the law firm Vacancy Allen and Rintrop. We are representing the Ford House this evening. Ford House has already been discussed, is seeking to reclassify its tavern license into a full Class C, which, as the chief correctly pointed out, changes it from beer and wine only to beer, wine, and spirits. This is part in conjunction with the improvements that are being made. They're adding a 40,000 square foot new restaurant facility. Usually one of the questions that arises by municipalities, what are what are the risks involved with serving of alcohol? In this case, the facility is going to be operated under participation permit with a catering company. It's not catered food, but it's a company that organizes that. I know that company well. They're well respected, and they've had a good experience on it. So between that and, of course, the Fort House own security staff, we don't, and obviously it's not going to be a bar in the typical sense. We wouldn't anticipate any problems, which is, like I said, what most councils are concerned about. Besides that, I can give you a whole rundown, but if you have any questions, I've gotten the sense that you've already are pretty well versed in this. I'm happy to answer them. We do have representatives from the Fort House here. Should you have any factual questions that I can answer?
Sir, would you be insured under the Dram Shop Act?
Yes.
Okay. And will there be multiple locations where the serving of spirits would be given? We have a cabaret license as well?
No, we will not have a cabaret at this point in time. There will be multiple locations. We are going to be seeking additional permits. The idea is to have one facility that's actually hosting the Class C license. The licensed premises will probably extend beyond that. We do intend to have several different areas that you can serve alcohol
For outside activities?
Exactly. And for services, special events, things of that nature.
So maybe 3 or 4 maximum?
I think we're talking, we have probably 5 or 6, between 4 and 6 is what we're kind of looking at, but that hasn't been decided yet. It depends upon the layout and of the facility and where we decide it's most practical.
Okay, good. Are there any questions? No, we've been well versed on this, but Mark, did you have a question?
I was just going to indicate, this is an upgrade. This is different than the other license that we issued, and that's a Bud Light with the Mark Club. Strangely enough, I know about this because I assisted the city, the Hackages Grove Point with the LCC folks, and Mike Kenyon and staff here at the time did not know that every city, every village, township, et cetera, had one of those. And so I think at that point we had to order 3 licenses, giving away one for Fort House. We had no problem with them. The outdoor sales issue, once that's completed, will probably make it easier for us so the chief doesn't have to sign up every time they have a special outdoor event. We have no problem with them. I know the catering company extremely well since they do the Infinity Innovation, and their facility, I forgot the current name, so operating restaurant is definitely right.
And the LCC did their due diligence, right?
Well, they will. This application has not been made to the LCC. We are seeking approval from the commission, from the city council first. It is required of the LCC rules that you pass a resolution approving it, which I think is in your materials. I did want to point out a couple things too. One, there are 6 outdoor service areas currently considered out there. We're going to refine those a little bit. They have what they call bars, and bars are not.
So for a large event, you could have 6 different locations where...
Correct. So, and like I said, it's actually 6 bars, but in terms of the state definition of a bar, that can include just the smallest thing.
That little podium you're at.
Exactly. This is a bar.
That's
So
okay.
every time there's a little separation there between between the server and the patron, it's a bar.
Okay.
So they will want to have a couple of those just to make it fluid. The other thing I wanted to let you, yeah, okay, I already addressed that. So that's all I have.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, a motion to sign the resolution is in the order.
Again, I'd like to move that we approve the request.
Any further discussion? Not all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Well, thank you, sir, for coming.
Thank you very much.
Good luck to you.
Congratulations.
Public comment. We have any public comment? Oh, okay.
Hi, I'm Susan Wolf. I'm a member of this community. My children
Grosse Pointe Park or
the
Leisure?
woods.
Oh, the
I live in
okay.
the woods. My children both go to school at Mason Elementary, and we're very active in the community, in the Grosse Pointe communities. Our church is here. I belong to Spiritual Fellowship within the Grosse Pointe communities, and I have reached out to this body multiple times over the last year regarding incredibly disturbing comments made by Councilman Matthew Seeley with no response. I see that's worthy of a grin. I'm curious, how many people have seen the comments made?
The comments this year or last year?
Last year, this year, both.
I saw last year's.
So, but there was a multitude of people, enough people calling to complain on September 11th about the comments, but not enough for the mayor to look into what was said, and that's concerning to me. So I'm here as a sexual assault survivor who was incredibly disturbed last year to see the jokes made at the expense of women who have been assaulted by men, and I'm here as a member of this community who has Muslim friends and Black friends and Latina friends who finds it incredibly offensive to see somebody in leadership in the city council here with no discussions being had, with this not being put on the agenda about what it means to equate a Black woman, a Latina woman, and 2 Muslim women, one of which is a member of our Detroit community here, with the terrorists who took down the Twin Towers on 9/11. What is going to be done about this?
Well, we're volunteer city elected officials, and so what's said privately.
It's not private. Public forum. Said in a public forum. In multiple public forums throughout Michigan. Political forums, activist forums, shared across the United States. Directed at Rashida Tlaib,
Okay,
one of our elected officials, right?
that's correct.
It's not private. Okay,
Yeah.
so there's nothing private about that. It's not funny to make fun of women who have been sexually assaulted. It's not funny. It's not private, and it's not funny. Now, this community has a reputation of being largely white and largely bigoted and largely uncaring for marginalized communities. This is not helping that reputation. What does anyone plan to do about this?
Well, again, like, at this point, we appreciate you coming. This is public comment. You're welcome to tell us and bring awareness of the issue.
What do you think about equating Rashida Tlaib with the terrorists who flew planes into the Twin Towers? Mayor.
At this time, I think we should refer to our council, our
Okay,
general
counsel.
counsel, our attorney,
So-
to talk about these
That's
things.
fine.
Okay.
What would your opinion be? Right, but it was disclosed last year as well. I can read it out loud if you'd like. I have access to. I have the image available. Can I speak? It was published from his personal social media account. So it was posted by him. So that, I'm not really
And do you know that
understanding.
that account wasn't hacked and it was?
You could, and
No,
like I
you know
said,
that
when,
for
and
sure.
like I said, when I called the city, because this is what was said last year, was at first it was said that he was hacked, then the mayor apologized on behalf of him, right, and said that he was just joking and he didn't mean it. So it's easy to prove if your Facebook account has been hacked. Anybody who reaches out to Facebook can show that it's been reached into by a different IP address. Super simple, real easy. Go ahead, contact Facebook, let us know. We're really interested to hear whether or not that's what happened. However, these are very in line with the things that he's said in the past. I mean, there's a narrative, goes in line with the narrative. And I think it's offensive, and I think it's inappropriate to sit on a governing body within a city and to make decisions for that governing body, and to think that you have the ability to have a positive impact on this community when you also say Islamophobic comments and you uphold those beliefs, and you think that it's okay to attack our other people in elected office. That's an issue. I think that it's pretty straightforward. So it says we said never forget, with a picture of the Twin Towers. Then underneath it, there's a picture of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, and Rashida Tlaib, and it says they are the proof we have forgotten. I don't feel like there's a lot of room for inference there. This was posted from his page on
Appreciate
multiple
you
different
coming.
forums.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate
We're gonna move on.
You're gonna move on. So is the attorney gonna be contacting me about what you plan on doing? So this is just cool. You're all right with us. You guys are all right with us. It's not might have, it was. It was said on behalf of the city.
Well, we appreciate your comments.
Said on behalf of the city, representative of the city, been shared all across the United States. People know it's a joke. It's a laughing stock.
We didn't say that. We didn't say, we appreciate
Right.
you coming.
Thank
Right.
you for your opinion.
Thank you.
It's not an opinion. It's all on the internet available.
Again, thank you. Any more public comment? Public comment, okay.
Ellen Pye, Beautification Chair. Concerning the boardwalk, there has been so much devastation in both the right and the left perennial beds that a decision was made between the DPW, Beautification, and the Improvement Foundation to remove the two perennial beds, one at each end of the boardwalk. This we decided to have bid out by one of the landscape companies, and we're a little astonished by what we consider to be a kind of a high price. And so, in retrospect, we decided that maybe we could do something ourselves. And I have to thank Brett Smith of the DPW, because I met with him, I met with Harold, the grounds crew chief, and with Kevin Hartman, our beautification master gardener. And among us all, with all the meetings, we came up with, we can do this ourselves. And that has been done. The left perennial bed is gone. It was so damaged, so destroyed, that we took it out. By we, I mean Harold, and I think maybe one of the other DPW people, and our master gardener, Kevin Hartman. They took it out, took out all of the plants. They brought in soil. They planted sod. Take a look. It's at the left-hand side closest to the Wilson estate. That bed has already been done. They are in the process, as we speak, of redoing the right-hand bed so that those two beds should not be in any way impacted, even if the lake does rise 5 to 6 inches, as is supposed to by the Corps of Engineers for next year. The other beds are in question. We decided at our beautification meeting about a week ago not to proceed with any funds at this point to be spent on something that we don't know what's going to happen next year as that lake rises. We want to hold off. We think we know what has to be done, but it's all guesswork at this point. So that's where we are right now with the lake. And then a change in dates. Please, if you on your mobile phones or your calendars, however you keep track of events in the village, next week the beautification committee is taking out all of the annuals out and cutting back all of the perennials out of the park. That date has been changed. Please make a note of it. Instead of being on Thursday, September 26th, we've moved it one day earlier to Wednesday, September 25th. I know that once in a while we have some people from the community who come and help us. Please, if you get this message via TV, please change that date. The time is the same, 9 o'clock until 11:30 in the morning. We are able to clean up that entire park in 2.5 hours. It's amazing. One of the reasons is because we have this new tool. Well, shouldn't say it's new. It's been around for more than 10 years. We call it the whirligig, but what it is it is instead of a line trimmer, it is metal at the bottom, and it vibrates back and forth. It can go through Siberian iris, which are the hardest things to cut, like butter. We have just purchased a new one, I think. Brett, is it half you and half us? Yes, it is a well-used tool. And so we have a new one for our cleanup next week. That tool saves us, I don't know how many hours of hand clipping or even clipping with a line clipper. You can't get close to the ground. With this thing, you can. So it really makes a difference. Then, another change in date is the date of the Boo Fest. It was on the calendar and maybe on your mobile device. You have it down for Wednesday, October 23rd. It is not. It is 1 week earlier, Wednesday, October 16th. Beautification Committee has decided at our meeting that instead of, usually what happens is on Monday, the Monday of that week of the Boo Fest, we have 2 tons of pumpkins delivered by Michigan Pumpkin Producer. They are for our pumpkin patch, where the children come and they select their own pumpkins. We kind of distribute them throughout the peninsula where we are located for our pumpkin patch. They choose which pumpkin they want to take home and then carve for Halloween. So that day, that Monday, happens to be Columbus Day. Both the DPW and the administrative offices are closed that day. So we had a decision to make on beautification. We decided to go ahead and have those pumpkins delivered on Monday. That gives us both Tuesday and Wednesday. It is our committee who decorates that park, not the Improvement Foundation tent, but the park for Halloween. We need that time. To move our pumpkins to Tuesday doesn't give us enough time to decorate. So we will be there. The park is open on Monday. It's just the offices are closed. So we will offload those things, and then the DPW and Kevin Hartman and his crew can put them around the next day. So it all works. It all works. Make sure you note that date. I have to tell you heartfully that the Boo Fest is not just for children. It is a hayride. It is Improvement Foundation refreshments. There is a fire pit with all kinds of bales of straw for people to sit and chat. Pictures are just a must at the Boo Fest. People bring their cameras. They bring their cell phones. It's an amazing event. I think the adults, the parents, and some adults who just come to see, I think they enjoy it just as much. as the children. So if you have never come to the Boo Fest, it starts at, I think, 6:30 maybe. Check the calendar. I think it's 6:30 till 7:30 or 8 o'clock, something like that. It may be 6 o'clock, but it's only an hour and a half long. Come, and I think you will find out it is a lot of fun. Now, the only thing else I have to say is that our pumpkin patch is one of the highlights for the children. There are several. They love the hayride. They love the pumpkin patch. They love the police department who takes their pictures. It is truly a complete community event. They enjoy it. I've gone to every other event for children, and I think it is their top event, I have to say. So bring grandchildren, bring your children. It's a great time. Now, last thing. Mark, you have supported beautification 100%. Let's see, I've been around since 1992. I've been through 3 city managers, and I have to say, your total commitment to the beautification of this village has been so much appreciated by us. We are heartsick to see you go. We wish you would leave your Rolodex, because you know more, you have more contacts than anyone I have ever seen. So our hearts bleed for you.
Thank you, Ellen. Thank you. Any more public comment? Yes, please come forward.
Mayor and City Council members, my name is Rose Flaherty, and I'm a resident of Grosse Pointe Shores, and I'm also here with respect to the comments that Councilmember Seeley has made. On 9/11, he posted a questionable, inappropriate, and somewhat menacing meme about 4 congresswomen, as Susan pointed out, one of them from this very area. This is the second time that Councilman Seeley has made sexist and racist posts that's garnered unfavorable press for residents of St. Grosse Pointe Shores and for this council itself. I find it interesting that the city attorney believes it's premature to comment on any of these things when these comments have been going on for more than a year, and this is at least the second time that they have been made public and published all over the country. I also think that it's astonishing to hear the city attorney state that he does not really think that there's any business that the council has with respect to these comments. I believe that as a city body, both the city attorney, the mayor, the council, the city manager have a duty to review his public comments and compare them with the Shores Ethics and Standards of Behavior for Public Officials. Councilman Seeley is an elected public official, and he carries his office with him when he speaks in public and posts public comments. I find that his posts are totally unacceptable, shameful, and bring shame on this community and are inappropriate for an acting elected official.
No, thank you for coming and sharing your thoughts. Okay, thank you. Any more public comment? No more public comment. Our next item is we're going to closed session. I need a roll call vote. Bruce, to enter into closed session to discuss our labor attorney opinion regarding benefit issues.
Okay, roll call vote to the closed session. Councilmember Barrett?
Here.
Councilmember Ball?
Yes.
Councilmember West?
Yes.
Giselle?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
President Seeley?
Present.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. At this point, we'll take a 5-minute recess, and we ask that everyone leave.